In the process of renovating the castle, we've also been updating the light fixtures with light fixtures a little more appropriate for a castle. We've been finding these chandeliers online on the Craigslist equivalent here, as well as at the local flea markets. Believe it or not, none of the chandeliers I'm showing you cost more than 90 euros. For example, this solid brass one only cost us 10 euro at a flea market. And this beauty, made of glass and crystal, we found online for only 90 euros. I bought this chandelier online for 30 euros, and typically what I do is I'll remove the crystals, the glass, clean them up, clean off the dirt and dust on the main body, reassemble everything, and then put it into service. But in this case, I have one additional problem. The power cabling on this particular chandelier is in pretty bad shape, if not totally compromised in some situations. It's broken, the insulation underneath is brittle and coming apart, and so I'm going to have to disassemble this entire chandelier, rewire it, reassemble it, and then I can put it into service. I finished removing a majority of the crystals and am left with the main body of the chandelier. So what I have to do next is remove this shaft here and pull all of these wires out of it. And then I have to untangle this mess on the bottom where all the wires meet. And you can see some examples here of how bad the wiring has gotten. That is just bare exposed wire that was inside of the cable. And if this will focus, you can see right here too. This is on a lot of them they have this. It's just exposed wire. The glass and metal center shaft have been removed. My next step will be to flip this over and try to untangle this mess underneath. What makes it even more fun is that the tape that they used underneath has disintegrated and it's just left this gooey residue. So it's a really sticky mess, but I have to do it. Once I've done that, then I will begin the process of removing each individual cable from each arm. However, before I do that, I need to number each arm because the length of each one of these cables is not the same. So I'll need to use the old cable length to determine the length of the replacement cable I'm going to put in. Here's what the bottom of the chandelier looks like, and it's this tape here that's disintegrated and left this sticky residue all over the place. You can kind of see it's all over the cables here. So I'm going to put some gloves on to try to remove this and get these cables loose. The cables on the bottom have been untangled, and now I'll flip this over and we'll start the process of removing each individual cable. The process of removing the cable is actually quite simple. There's 4 copper wire tie downs. You loosen those up, you detach it from the light socket, and then you just pull the whole cable out, like I did with this first cable here. Here's the base of the chandelier with all the cables removed. Now you may have noticed these elements on the side here and thought they were plastic or acrylic. Well, they're actually glass. And the way they're attached is that a copper wire is run through these holes that they all have in the middle and then tied off on the ends, and that's what holds the elements to the arms. Now, when they're clean, they are clear and shiny. But what has happened is over the decades, this base has collected a lot of dust and grime. So what I think I'm going to do is put this in a bathtub with some warm water and soap and let it soak, and then try to remove some of the grime and bring it back to its original luster and shine. That bath made a huge difference. You can see how shiny and clear all the glass arms are now. It's almost like it's new. My next step is to actually begin the rewiring of this chandelier base. I've got the first arm rewired. Just 7 more to go. I've completely rewired all of the arms and the central shaft. And now for my next trick. I will correctly interconnect all of these wires and place them in such a meticulous manner that they will fit underneath this tiny dome. And then this tiny dome will sit flush against that plate. Prepare to be astounded. Presto! All the cabling has been finished. And if you're curious what it looks like underneath, that's what the final configuration looks like. So my next step now, before I assemble the rest of the chandelier, is to verify that all my connections are actually working. Eureka! We have light. Looks like all the cabling works. I have solid lights all around, which is great. So the next step is to assemble the rest of the chandelier and lengthen the chain. In the process of cleaning up the lamp canopy, the brass finish that it had came off. You can kind of see what it looks like inside. And I, for the life of me, cannot find a replacement part that looks like this. So there are brass lacquers you can buy that are really designed to for like musical instruments, but they're really expensive. So the other trick I'm going to try is you take this clear, transparent orange spray paint, and you spray it on the surface, and so it's supposed to give you a brassy finish. I'll be damned if that paint trick did work. I had my doubts, but man, it really did the trick. And when you compare it to the actual brass of the lamp, it's almost spot on. It's just incredible. The chandelier renovation is finally completed. I've rewired all of the arms, including the main shaft. All the crystals have been cleaned. The main body was thoroughly cleaned. I lengthened the chain so that the chandelier will hang about 100 centimeters from the ceiling. And now let's put it into play. The chandelier is going to go in this location. I'm going to replace this older lamp fixture. But before I do that, I need to put a decorative rosette up here, and then I'll install the chandelier. I completed installing the chandelier, and man, does it look good. It's probably 40 to 50 years old, but it looks night and day from when I first bought it. Now you may be asking, what happened to the old light fixture? It has been relegated with the other light fixtures that time has forgotten.